Greetings, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Neil Coffey. I'm an Associate Professor of Classics here at the University of Buffalo, or UB as we call it. And I'm also co-chair of the Digital Classics Association. And I'd like to welcome everyone to UB for our inaugural conference. We're delighted to have you here. I'd like to begin by thanking those at UB who have helped to make this event possible, including the College of Arts and Sciences, the Humanities Institute, the Cultures and Texts Committee, our journal Arethusa, housed in the UB Classics Department, and the Departments of Anthropology, Classics, and Linguistics. I also want to help our great, thank our great student volunteers, graduate students, and undergraduates who've done so much to help us organize this event. Given that this is the first assembly of the Digital Classics Association, it seems appropriate to say something about the organization and its goals. I want to start from its humble beginnings. The idea for the DCA arose, as so many good ideas do, in a bar. Point of fact, it was a particular bar, a bar in Philadelphia at the APA, American Philological Association conference, about a year ago. And I was sitting with my friend Alan Romano of Florida State, who unfortunately can't be here today. But at the time, we were talking about our interest in digital classics, and I should say that our interests, Alan was working on gendered speech and Greek tragedy, and myself on intertextuality. We both thought that digital methods had a lot of great potential for research and teaching that had been demonstrated by many other folks. Many of them were in this room. And we ourselves enjoyed the collaboration that came with working on digital projects. But we thought that despite this collaboration within project groups that was typical of DH and digital classics enterprises, there wasn't as much collaboration among project groups as there might be. There are great organizations, particularly in Europe and the UK, that do sponsor and foster discussions among digital classicists, but we thought that sitting as we were at the APA bar, that we could do a little bit more in that direction. So with that idea in mind, we reached out to see if we could find some people who have had significant experience in digital classics, and we were fortunate to find and listen to our cause. First of all, some senior scholars in the area of digital classics, including Charlotte Boucher, King's College London, Chris Blackwell at Furman University, and of course Greg Crane of Perseus and Tufts. We were also fortunate in our outreach to discover that there were several hundred people from around the world who were interested in helping this enterprise by signing up as members, as many of you did. So I want to thank you for that. And that brings us to this, our first gathering. I myself am tremendously excited about the quality and variety of presentations we're going to witness in these 2 days. I believe will give us a sense of how productive digital methods have been and can be across the range of classics research and teaching. Myself, I noticed that whenever we propose to explore digital methods, one question always lingers in the air, and that question is, so what can you do with it? Where are your new results? I happen to think that we need to explore digital methods fully before we can draw conclusions about this. Generations of digital classicists before us have built the foundations that we work on, but those foundations still need very much to be extended in the form of digitization of text and objects, development of tools, and many other endeavors. But I'm equally persuaded that we will increasingly see this question answered on its own terms, and we have already. And I'm also confident that we're going to see many such answers at this conference. That is to say, new answers using digital methods to the sorts of questions that we have traditionally asked of the ancient world, but also, maybe more significantly, new answers to new questions. So in a sense, I think that this conference will help to define the way digital classics is understood in a positive way, both for ourselves and for the larger classics profession. The way that I tend to think of this is that we need, if I have to explain why we're using digital methods to somebody who isn't initiated into these mysteries, to say that we need to get more technical in order to get less technical. That is, we need to get down into some of the work that we do. The technicality side of it means, as you all know, not only the computational side in strict terms, but also breaking down traditional problems into models that can, into forms that can be digitized, right? And so that's the sort of technical side. And I say more technical to get less technical, because I think the other side of the promise of digital methods applied to classics is that you can develop representations that are more intelligible to students, more intelligible to scholars, and more intuitive. And I'll give a brief example of how I think that might work from some of the work that we've done here. So my work and my test write group has dealt with digital intertextuality with one of many groups, or several important, but other important groups that are doing text reuse studies in Leipzig and other areas. So one of the things that we've done, or maybe focused on, has been illusion, trying to define illusion, and look at this literary manifestation. And this is from some work we did maybe 6 months ago, where we were trying to discover the density of intertextual reference in subsequent Latin epic poets to Virgil. So what the line represents overall, if you look first at the line, is the percentage of verse lines in these poets that contains a reference to, or what we're describing as intertext to Virgil's Aeneid, and that's indexed on the right side. So that is to say, if you see the peak of that is Statius Tobias, 30% means that 1 out of every 3 lines has some language that we're defining as intertextual with the Aeneid. And you see the different rates for the different poets: Ovid's Metamorphoses, Lucan's Civil War, Statius Tobias, Silius Punica, Valerius Flaccus, Arbonautica. And then we have 2 works by Claudian, De Ratu Proserpinae and De Consolatus Deliconis. So that was an effort to, this is back to my theme of getting more technical to get less technical. The less technical part is we can see, or at least this is a first attempt trying to map the overall level of intertextuality with Virgil over time of epic poets. That's the line. The columns represent unique parallels, say, of all the total number of intertexts that we claim to find according to a certain definition. Which of those don't occur in any other poets in between Virgil, or any other text that we had in our system at the time, in between Virgil and that poet? So what you see is not surprising that although Ovid has a lower rate of density overall of intertext with Virgil, that's what the line says, does say Statius, Ovid has more, percentage-wise, more unique intertext with Virgil than does Statius, because he's earlier in the tradition, so it's easier to make ones that are more unique, right? So you see that smooth decline. The further you go, the more the language is Virgilian language has kind of been used up. So there's less of it to use that's unique. But again, maybe one of the takeaways here is how interesting it is that Statius does better even than Lucan in unique intertext. So I just give that as a quick example of my argument for getting more technical to get less technical, and I hope this is the kind of explanation where you can look at those big phenomena, and that's what digital classics can do. Thanks, everyone.